Alright, today is Thanksgiving Day 2021. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Today we're going to be doing a drive through my Northeast Minneapolis test loop. This is a collection of areas where I've noticed FSD struggle in previous releases. So my goal going forward is to do this exact same drive, twice per release. Once at night, once during the day. And that's to test for any possible regressions or improvements, right? And hopefully see those improvements in both lighting conditions. So with that being said, I'll be switching navigation throughout to kind of get the car to follow a certain route that I've created. So you'll notice me kind of selecting different navigation points, since I don't have waypoints yet, unfortunately, in this release. Hopefully down the road that won't be a problem. So I'll be kind of treating that a bit differently then. So I'll shut up and let's go for a drive. Thanks. Alright, a little jerky, but hey, from my driveway, that's 2 times in a row now where I've been able to get FSD to engage from there, so that's pretty cool. So that intersection, honestly, just because of the blind spots thanks to parked cars and whatnot, I don't know if we'll ever see the car hesitate any less in at least in 10.x builds for FSD, but I'm fine with it. It gets a little annoying to people behind me that are in a rush, but it's a neighborhood, so nothing I'm going to report or worry about. Alright, that was a little close there. Yeah, I'm gonna hit go. That was pretty bad. So I'm not sure what the car did there. I'm gonna report that. That was pretty bad. So the car hesitated too much, and it seemed like it kind of got itself into trouble when the car was coming. I don't know if it had trouble calculating the closing distance or what, but it kind of left us in a vulnerable spot there. And again, car just jammed on the brakes there, so right off the bat, I don't know, that was two things that make me scratch my head. I was really hoping in 10.5 we would see an improvement with turning cars, where cars were turning right in the opposite direction. The car just likes to overly yield to those vehicles for no reason, right? They're not even close to us. So one thing I've noticed just over, since 10.3, 10.4 and both 10.5 have both been extremely confident with that last intersection back there. In previous builds, they were hesitating too much. Every single time it'd be creeping for visibility, whether there were cars there or not, and it would always require me to basically override with, throttle input. So the car hesitates a bit too much at this intersection, even with the navigation issue aside. And I think it's because the construction trailer that's kitty corner is detected as a semi on the screen. And it looks like the car just overly hesitates as a result. So unfortunately, to get the car to proceed, I had to give it throttle input, which it then proceeded to jam on the brakes shortly after. So one thing I wanted to point out was that in 10.5, the issue of staying in the center of these larger unmarked roads still remains, right? The car still stays too much in the center, even when there's other cars coming or going, and even when there's no cars, using the shoulder. So I'd much prefer the car to stay more to the right here, much like it does now in, on more narrow unmarked roads, which, that's an improvement, but, these larger unmarked roads, unfortunately, by my house are pretty common. So hopefully they'll address this in a future build. The car is hesitating way too much here. So I'm not sure why, but I'm gonna hit the accelerator. Nobody was behind me there, but that was still annoying, so I will be reporting that one. Again, you know, that intersection for human drivers pretty easy, at least coming from the direction I was coming from, right? So I'd really like to see some more confidence there, right? Just like we saw a couple intersections, you know, back. I've seen improvements, right, through the releases. So I know some of the changes they're making are having a positive impact, but, you know, some of these problem areas still remain across the builds. And in the same spot, like clockwork, night or day, the car will flip the turn signal on right there, as if it, you know, thinks it's a one-directional road here, which it's not. You know, there's traffic going in both directions. There's just no road markings. And it looks like it's trying to turn the right signal on now. That was weird. I'm gonna hit this again. There we had some braking there, some slight braking. I had one commenter refer to it as micro braking, which I like that term, so I'll use that going forward. But there was some micro braking right there for that car that just passed us. You know, no possible collision, but the car seems to, you know, get a little nervous for whatever reason, just like it is now. And you can see on the screen the visuals. They don't ever show that car potentially colliding with us or causing us problems. So I'm not sure why the car is so hesitant around that on these unmarked roads. There's plenty of room here, so should be able to pretty, you know, easily predict, you know, if a car is going to be a problem for us or not, but still seems to be a struggle. So one thing that's been consistent so far in 10 out of 5 on this road compared to previous builds, even though the speed's up to 30, the car will slow down around 25 around those tighter corners, and honestly it does a better job than in previous builds of, you know, confidently navigating those areas. So, you know, it still likes to go for that like area where cars could park on just right behind us there, but I mean overall it is noticeably better on this road than it's been in the past, where it seems to be more confident getting closer to the curb on the right. But you'll still see up ahead, it struggles around this. There's an S-curve coming up here that it really still struggles with. So maybe during daytime it will be better, but, you know, in previous drives so far, it still struggles here. Yeah, it figures it out there, but you can see it's still overly cautious. So I'm going to set us up for a left turn here. So I took over. I'm going to report that, as I always do, coming through that stretch of road. And I'm going to give it a little accelerator here. There's a car coming in. It's still, you know, a bit overly cautious. So as you'll see here in a few seconds, the car will suddenly jam on the brakes. And when I was driving, I didn't quite understand why, but after reviewing the footage, it seems pretty clear to me that FSD improperly detects the car approaching from our right, highlighted in blue on the screen, as something that might possibly collide with us, and then it reacts accordingly. So while this is the incorrect behavior, you know, it does seem to make sense. So in this situation, I had to apply some throttle input to get the car to continue with the left turn, but you know, I will say after having experienced a few of these situations, especially on the same drive, it seems like FSD in its current state has trouble, you know, calculating cars that are to our left or right that are approaching, calculating how far out they are and how fast they're coming in, right, and closing in on us. And that results in some excessive hesitation, which then can put us into some close call situations. So I really hope Tesla's putting a lot of, you know, compute power into this problem, and hopefully they'll address it here in future builds. Yeah, I'm not sure what the car was doing there. That was pretty dangerous. So the car just grenaded the brakes there for, I don't know what it was seeing. I'll have to go back and watch the footage there, but that was pretty bad. So, you know, somebody was coming up behind us, not too far back there, so I gave it some throttle input to kind of interject, but that was another head scratcher. Not sure why it did that. right, that was a good, first left turn there that we've kind of seen, on this drive. So that was pretty human-like, honestly. So. Alright, just like last night, or the last time I did this drive at night, the car handled that turn great. So, one of the better ones I've seen out of FSD overall. So that's pretty promising to see, and I hope we see more of that with other intersections. Some of the areas where the car has struggled this drive, I'm looking forward to seeing some improvements in those areas in 10.6. Alright, so you can see there's, I don't know what the car is waiting for there. That's bizarre. I mean, planner showed it going straight, so I'm not sure why it didn't want to go. So I'm going to report that. It could just be the fact that I didn't have anything plugged into navigation and it thought we had arrived to our destination even though I canceled it before. That's kind of bizarre. So in the 2 times I've done that drive with 10.5, I've noticed, as we make that turn there, it always makes a correction, almost like its initial line selection isn't the best. But honestly, it's such a slight steering input change. It's not bad at all. So, obviously I'd like to see it nail it with one swooping move through that turn there. But that last second, wheel movement's not too bad. So again, the car likes to get over and want to use both lanes, but on this road, especially on like holidays and things like that, people park on the shoulder or on the right there. So you definitely don't want to get into a spot where you're in that lane and it'd be like the guy behind me that has to kind of last second get over. But that to me is just a routing thing. So the car is slowing up here. I don't know what it's slowing up for. So again, I'll report that, but I'm guessing it sees maybe the pedestrian on the side or something like that as a reason to slow down. So again, the car tried to get over there, but I canceled it. As you can see, there's a parked car up here, and I don't want to get stuck behind that parked car, so it should be able to get over now. So it's slow. I don't know why it slowed down there. I thought it was moving or what, based on its orientation, but alright, so we're accelerating, but even though we have to turn, I'm not sure what the car is doing here. I'm going to take over. So we're going to get over. Not sure what it was doing there. Honestly, we had plenty of room to get over back there, so I'm just going to complete this one manually, but honestly kind of frustrating. I can't remember if I reported that or not, so I'm going to hit report. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, you should be able to cancel the lane change and get over after that last car there. So I don't know, it must have thrown it for a loop based on how it was positioned, as if it thought maybe it was moving or whatnot, so. Again, the car hesitated there, I think, because of that flashing light, which is off. It detected it as a stoplight for whatever reason, so I report that, but that's, to me, more than likely just a mapping thing. It's obviously got a record of it somewhere, so, or maybe it's just detecting it as such incorrectly, but it'd be nice if there was a way to flag it as something that's no longer, you know, something the street uses, right? I never see that light turned on ever, so. So it looked like the car wanted to go around that turning car there, but it just hesitated too much, right? It seemed like it had good intentions and being a bit more aggressive there. So, you know, as they make the car more confident with training and whatnot, I really hope that, you know, we'll see some different behavior in the future where the car will just, you know, maintain speed and go around the turning car like a human driver would, right? A little bit of micro braking there. I don't know why I did that. Maybe a shadow or something like that. Again, I'm probably being overly verbose with all the reports, but you know, hopefully Tesla has the ability to sift through some of the stuff they don't really think is a problem. Great job working around that road cone there. That was pretty cool. That was a great job with that left turn back there. You know, it initially sometimes takes a little bit tight line where it might, you know, I think get a little too close to the curb, in my opinion, but it figures it out, right? You saw some wheel corrections there, so, you know, honestly, overall, you know, fairly smooth. That was another great left turn there, honestly. I was worried we had somebody behind us that was going to overly hesitate too much here. But, you know, honestly, it did a great job. Again, I think maybe it initially took too tight of a line, but, you know, it didn't jam on the brakes and try to figure it out. It was rolling, it made its corrections on the wheel and the steering, and, you know, honestly, finished the turn off pretty well. I gotta say, another great job they're handling those cars. Didn't wait a second longer than it needed to at that intersection for them to go, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, and again, this intersection continues to be a problem for it. It's kind of a goofy four-way stop, so we'll have to see if they address that at some point. I don't know if the car, you know, it's got a blind spot on the right or what, but it always hesitates there, even when it's empty, like you saw it was there. So I will report it. Hopefully they'll keep looking at it and eventually, you know, have enough training examples to make the car more confident, you know, at that intersection. But it's still not there yet in 10.5. Another really good turn there. That's a tight right turn, and in the early FSD builds like that I got on, you know, in 10.2 and 10.3, the car was extremely rough coming through that area. It'd always jam on the brakes too much, and if somebody was behind you, you either had to disengage or use throttle input to smooth out that what the car was trying to do. So it requires zero intervention now. So to see that improvement just over a few minor releases is pretty impressive. A little too much braking for that car. I would have preferred a little bit more of a rolling stop there, but I guess better be safe than sorry and be more cautious there. And then to make another comment, I'm gonna take over here. There's a bit of a branch in the road there, but that left turn again, as you saw, it just really likes to take a swooping line. It seems to be worse during the day. I'm gonna report it again, but yeah, it really there's so much room in that road there. You don't need to make a swooping turn there. You can hold or stay really close to that dotted yellow line on the inside and you'd be just fine, right? So again, I hope they fix that, because I take this route quite a bit and there's always usually cars behind me that get kind of weirded out when you swing way to the right to make a left-hand turn, right? So it always catches other drivers off guard. So I usually have to take over or add throttle input to get the car to kind of finish the turn. So anyways, that's the Northeast test loop here on Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and thanks for watching.